Today's title is "What Shall I Do Today?" Have you guys watched this before? Pippi the Long Stockings? If you know this, then you're really old. It took me hours to find this photo. I don't know what this is, but yeah, that means you're old people. Young ones, your next generation, we never seen watch this, right? Have you watched this? I say, have you? You mean you're old. Were you from? No. Pippi the Long Stockings. Okay.
Jumping on my bed, I think I'm Mr. Milton, carry horse above my head. I can dance astonished, spread magic everywhere. I can skate around the kitchen, flip candy through the air. And things in the classroom will do anything I want. Look who I've waiting for us. What shall I do today? What shall I do today? What shall I do? What shall I do today? What shall we do today?
All right, it's really fun TV show that like growing up I've been watching it all the time, right? One of the biggest theme behind that movie is like Pippi the Long Stocking is constantly looking for somebody. Who is it? Her father. She always awaits for her father to come home from all the adventures and journeys that he went on, right? And the meantime, as she was waiting for her father, she's got nothing else to do. She's always asking the question, what should I do today? What should I do? Right? Okay. So today's passage is slightly different than, you feel like it might be slightly different than what I want to talk about today with you. Today, I want to talk about what shall you and I do today. This ties in from the last week's message. What was the last week's message? Anybody remember? What am I made of? Right? Some people says I'm made out of 60-70% water, and some said 70% of oxygen and whatnot, right? So we talked about who we are truly lies behind, lies under, who are we? And that was one of the things that we talked about. Today is what should I do today? Basically, what are we called to do? Simple way of putting this one in our purpose and calling. But what to do with this passage? This passage, humble yourself before the Lord, basically saying, don't judge each other. That's what this entire passage is talking about, right? Don't judge each other. So, when you look at the word judgment is based on Merriam-Webster's, is a decision or opinion. Listen carefully on this one. Decision or opinion given after careful considerations. Right? That's a judgment or judging somebody or judging something. An opinion or estimate formed by examining and comparing this one's the best in the judgment, my judgment or the person's judgment. Third meaning is ability for reaching a decision after careful consideration. So basically, Bible talk to this passage talking about you do not judge people because you don't know what you're saying. You don't even know what your standard is. That's what the entire passage is all about. Why? Because God, He is the ultimate giver. He's a judge. He knows the law. He's the one actually putting all the foundation. So there's a Latin word. It's called ex nihilo. Have you guys heard this word before? Ex nihilo? Ex means out of. Nihilo means nothing. God actually created everything out of nothing. God is the God of ex nihilo. That's what we talk about. In theological concept and perception, God is the God of ex nihilo because He created out of nothing. He created earth and you and I out of nothing, right? From the void. That's the book of Genesis chapter 1 talks about. Out of the entire void and chaos, God created His entire being, creations. So, if God created out of nothing, like you and I, what does that mean? He is the beginning of everything, right? If He created everything out of nothing, that means He is the beginning, correct? That's why James chapter 4, 10 to 12 says, don't judge people because judgment is based on your opinion. There's only one lawgiver and who knows how to judge based on concrete foundation. You and I, we don't have the foundation. We don't. So, God is beginning of everything. He is the beginning of our existence. Right? So, that means if He created everything, that means He should know everything about us. Correct? Right? If He's the foundation, that means He... You guys are not responding. I know it's tired, I know it's English, but you gotta respond. At least like if you don't know, sure. No, give me something, right? Okay. So if God created everything, that means He is the beginning of everything. That means if He created us, He knows what we are supposed to do. Correct? Basically, those who create a vehicle, they know exact function of the vehicle, what it's supposed to do. Why they created the vehicle. Correct? Right? So I'm just going to talk about a little bit of my purpose. Beginning of my Christian life, knowing your purpose, that I want to talk about today. Okay, so this is a little bit of my testimony, and I want to tie this into my message today. Okay, can you see this thing? So I was born and raised in Korea. I was not born and raised in Canada, by the way. I was born and raised in Korea, and I went to Canada about nearly 18 years ago now, almost. And I came back after the 17 long years. Yes, I finally came back as a foreigner. I'm not as Koreans anymore, right? Came back. But if you travel overseas, especially within the North, if you travel North America, what do you need in terms of an airplane ticket-wise? You have the round-trip ticket. Did you know that? You cannot go to Canada or US with a one-way ticket unless you have a visa. Right? But I didn't. I went to Canada with a one-way ticket. With no visas. So Air Canada, yes I did. Air Canada told me to sign the paper, say, if you get kicked out of the country, it's your fault, it's not Air Canada's responsibility. I said, yes. I signed the paper. I'm not going to make this story super long. So what happened, as I was just praying, I was getting ready to go to India as soon as I finished my bachelor's degree in X here in Korea. And I had about 100 different supporters, 100 people, and a church member said, I will support you if you go to India. And I had about $4,000 a month support by them. Because they say, I trust you, I seen you doing the ministry, I seen your heart, your sincerity. The three churches, they said they will support you. I will support you, 3 different churches, and about 100 different people, individuals, said, I will pray for you and support you. And altogether, that was about $4,000 a month. That's nearly 20 years ago. That was a lot of money. As a single man, having that much of support, it's like a big amount of money. Because that much they trust me. But one day, I was just praying and seeking God. God knows it all, right? He knows a plan for me, not myself. I had a plan for myself to go to India, and I lined up everything. And all of a sudden, God said, no, Enoch, go to Canada. As I was praying, I said, you know what I did? Any guess? I said, Satan, get behind me. That's not from God. I'm ready to go to India. That's not God. God will never tell me to go to Canada. So I actually rebuked it. But like every time I pray and I seek the Lord and God, what do you have in your heart for me for the next little while? And constant one voice kept on telling me, I want you to go to Canada. So I told all my supporters and churches, number of different churches, I'm sorry, there's a change of plan. I feel like God is calling me to Canada, not to India. My $4,000 support dropped down to $800 a month support. because I'm not going to India, and they said we cannot support you anymore. Well, I said that's fine, but I have to listen to God, right? So that's what happened. But did I really want to go to Canada? No, I did not want to go to Canada. Literally, I hated going to Canada. That's why I only bought a one-way ticket. You see why? Because I want government of Canada to kick me out of Canada. Then at least I can tell God, I obeyed you. See, I went to Canada, but they kicked me out. Right? At least I have some kind of excuse to say. So when I went to Canada at the border, that was me. But 2004, pictures of 2004. Yeah, not much difference there, right? I'm still looking like that. Anyway, so when I get to the border and the airport, I stand in the line to get the visa. 3 hours, I'm standing there. Oh my goodness gracious, I'm tired. And I got to the border and I'm talking to the immigration officers. And she looked at my letter and said, okay, where's your visa? Well, I don't have one. Because I want to be kicked out, right? I don't have one. I said, I cannot give you a visa. In my heart, yes. Now I can go back and raise support again and go to India. Finally, it's working. All right, that was me 18 years ago. And all of a sudden she came out and said, okay, I talked to my supervisors, I will give you a 3-month tourist visa. When you go to the location, you need to work this out. You have to reapply your visa. 3-month tourist visa. You know what I said to God? Standing there. This is what I said to God. God, I didn't come here to tour around the country. I came here to work. If I get tourist visa, I'm going home. That's what I said. Why? Because I didn't want to stay in Canada. If you guys ever worked with the immigration officer before, they don't change their words. If they say, this is what's going to happen, and that's it. Long story short, she came out 3 times afterwards. She said, I will give you a 6-month visitor visa. And she went back in, came out, and she said, I will give you a 3-month religious work visa. And she went back in, came out, she gave me 6-month religious work visa. She changed 3 times when I was doing interview with her. Not only that, this is the reason why I actually put it up there. My kids know, people who knows my handwriting, this is not my handwriting. Guess what who did this? Immigration officer. They will never do this. She asked for my photo, so I gave her my photo. And she put that on here. Do you see the stamp on it? She put a stamp on it, put a tape over, and she filled out the entire form with her own handwriting. Says this, when you apply for visa, you need to do this before you apply it so you can get the visa, proper visa, longer visa. And she printed out all the doctors' list in the NBC that works with the government. And you see highlight? She highlighted, call them, make an appointment to do your health checkup before you apply for visa. Otherwise, your visa is going to be denied. Right? And she wrote this thing, say, basically all this saying, in order for me to reapply visa, extend my stay in Canada as a religious workers, you have to do this, and these are my information. Then she actually put this information in the computer so that I make sure I do it. Right? Does any immigration officer would do that? No. They don't ever do that, actually. This was the first time ever done it. And when I tell this story to so many foreigners, they say, that is unreal, because some people say, I can't believe that actually happened. Right? Guess what I did later on? I didn't do this. That's why I still have the paper. I didn't do the health checkup. Why? Because I did not want to stay in Canada. I didn't. I did not want to stay in Canada. So I just applied the visa. Then what happened? I got 2 years without asking question. Usually it takes 3 months to get a visa. Do you know what happened? It took me 1 month to get my 2-year visa again. And I was very disappointed. Because deep inside of my heart, said, yes, now I can get kicked out. She told me that I have to do it. And she put that into the computer. Then why am I still in Canada? Why isn't my visas keep on being extended when I'm not even following what they're actually saying? Reason why I'm sharing this story, because I had a plan for myself. I had a plan for my own sake and visions and dreams that I wanted it. But God, He had a different one, because He is the foundation of all. He is the foundation of all. The entire world right now has no direction. They don't even know where to go, what to do, what to say. That's why everybody's saying, hey, this is the right way, that's the right way. Right? You guys know the song, The My Way? Right? Everybody's saying, my way is the right way. No, my way is the right way. This is right, that's right. No. Well, it's like basically the book of Judges is talking about everybody did it on their own, like whatever they put on their eyes and their opinions. That's exactly what's happening in this world right now. Right? But if we truly believe God, He is the beginning and foundation of all, don't you think that we should be asking Him for what's purpose in our life? Right? Every man-made material has its own purpose and plan. Correct? But God says we are the best, the wonderfully, marvelously made. We are the best out of all creation. Yet, we don't tend to think that we have a plan and purpose of our life. We have our own purpose and plan for our lives, but we don't tend to seek God's plan in our life, right? And that's how my life radically changed. When I begin to realize, when I try to get kicked out of the country, Canada, literally, I tried so many times, but it just didn't work. Why? Because God, He had a plan. God has a plan for your life. But it's not my plan. It's God's plan. So we have to know and understand God's plan for our lives. And so many people told me, how could you do such a ministries in Canada as a Korean? It is almost nearly impossible as a Korean to start international ministries in Canada. Especially when you have white people under you. That's like unheard of. But that's what happened. It's not because like I'm a superior to anybody else. No, it's not that. It's nothing to do with any of this. Because God had a plan, He had a purpose in my life, and then I did that and I gave it all away. And it's okay. Why? Because I know that was His plan and purpose in my life. Right? Sometimes we can't make tough and hard decisions when we know our purpose. When we know our purpose. And I often tell people, like, yeah, I got accepted to Yonsei University for the PhD course. And I said no to them because I know my purpose. There was nothing going to come out, nothing good was going to come out of it from Yonsei University, even if I did my PhD. Yes, in the worldly eyes, yes. Perhaps my career of succession will be paved for me to just run in the highway, but in God's purpose, I didn't see anything happening. So I said no. We have to be able to say no to certain things, even if it's so tempting, looks so great. We can only do that when we know God's purpose in our lives. I love this quote. Do you guys know who this person is? John F. Kennedy. He's one of the famous presidents in the world actually. JFK. Have you guys been to JFK airport even? I've been to it. It's crazy busy. So he says this. John F. Kennedy said this. Effort and courage are not enough. Effort and courage are not enough when you don't have purpose and direction. I will even say this to people. Your effort and courage is not enough when you don't have God's purpose in your life and God's direction in your life. Everyone can have purpose on your own. Everybody can have purpose of their own life. Everybody can have a purpose and direction of their own life. But what's really important is God's purpose in our life. God's purpose in our life. As I was just driving this way, and I was just talking to Hannah too, like it said, like there are in our life there's so many difficulties and challenges taking place. And just like Paul says, like he ran his race as hard as he could. And this is what I told her basically. I don't want to regret. I don't want to be regretting because I didn't fulfill the calling and purpose of my life. I don't want to regret. And there are so many people when they die in breath and they feel like they haven't accomplished what they're supposed to do in their life. And I truly believe in this. When God called you, when God created every single one of us, He had a plan for you. Not just come to church and worship God, yes, for sure, as a Christian, but there's a different calling. There's different callings. Some are called to be in the mission, some are called to in the medicine, some are called to in study and scholars and business, economy, all the different areas. What is your calling? What is God calling you? Why are you studying? Why are you going to school? Why are you working? Do you have direction? Better yet, do you have God's direction? Do you have God's purpose in your life? When we know and realize God's plan and purpose in life, we can thrive. We can overcome the difficulties, hardships. Why? Because we know that God does not make mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes. We do. He doesn't. And because He's so gracious and forgiving, even if we make mistakes, He says that I am going to wait for you because I believe in you. And I believe that God, my plan and purpose is going to be fulfilled as long as you don't give up and you obey. God wants you, actually. He wants you. I know I've said this other times. So when I was teaching at Ghana and doing English teaching there, so many young people coming and learning and just they don't have directions. They don't have a direction in their life. They don't have a purpose in their life. I asked them, well, they're working. Some of them are actually going to Korean University and like one of the top universities in Korea, and some of them actually work in government job. And they don't pay for the English tutoring fees, which was quite high. Government does. So I asked them, so what's your plan for your life? I don't know. So why did you go to work? Well, because I can get a good pension plan after my retirement. That's all that it is. But what do you want to do with your life? I don't know. I'm just working. But you don't have a purpose. When you don't have a purpose, your work and your effort, your courage doesn't really matter. It will die down eventually. It will die down. You become enslaved to the world. The world will begin to drive you where they want. But we want God to direct us, guide us, help us to fulfill what God is calling us to do. I love this thing in Korea. Korean Proverbs talks about when tiger died, then they leave a hide behind. And when a man died, they leave their names behind. 호랑이는 죽어서 가족을 남기고 사람은 죽어서 이름을 남긴다. Right? So that I love the proverbs because yes, the tiger's highest prize is their hide. Because when you see the hide, that means man, you have killed a furious animal. And everybody remember, tiger is one of the most strongest animal ever, right? But what about the man? When you die, what do you leave behind? Your name. What is the name? It means your legacy. Legacy. You leave your legacy behind. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Like Steve Jobs made Apple, tons of money, and he died. No one talks about him. Does it? Nobody talks about Steve Jobs anymore. When he died, everybody talks about Steve Jobs. Now no one does. Money is not going to give you a legacy. It won't. But what do you want to leave behind? That's the question. What do you want to leave behind? In order for us to leave something significant behind, we have to know and understand God's purpose in our life. That is critical. And I know now we have our summer programs coming up and our VBS, youth retreat, and young adult retreat, and all that kind of stuff. I realized my calling in my life when I was 13. I gave my life to the Lord in the ministry when I was 13. I devoted myself to that. I realized that was my calling. Have I strayed away from that calling? Yes, I have, because I didn't want to be in the ministry for a little while. I realized that because it's a price that I had to pay for. So I didn't want to be in the ministry, but I knew that was my calling. So when I came back, when I began to follow and obey what God is calling me to do, it's not because I was so good at certain things. Well, God began to take me to so many different places and ask me to do so many different things. It's not because I'm better than somebody else. No, I simply said yes to it. So here's the question today. Are you in or out? You in or out? Do you want God's plan and purpose of your life? Are you in or you don't want to know? Now I have a taste how I can follow and serve God and what God's purpose in my life can take me to different things. I can never go back. I can never go back. I don't want to go back. And there are so many people asking, why are you going to go back to mission field? Like you can do so much more here in Korea, because my calling is in mission. It's not about whether I can do or I cannot do. Yes, I can do so many things. Yeah, I can get different jobs and I can be making a lot of money, but that's not my calling. That's not my purpose. So I don't really care for those things. I'm careless of those. But I want to fulfill what God has called me to do. Benjamin Franklin, you guys all know, right? Benjamin Franklin says this. A man's story is not told solely by the list of his grand accomplishments, things that he have accomplished, but rather by his small daily goods. What good shall I do today? I want to take a little bit further into this. What shall you do to fulfill God's calling in your life today? You don't have to do something big and grand to fulfill God's purpose for today. That's why I love that song, What Shall I Do Today? People don't stop this song, right? What shall I do today? God has something for you to do today. Ask Him, God, what do you want me to do today? God, what do you want me to do today? It starts from there. Because that's how I started. That was the biggest mistake in my life that I asked that question, God, what do you want me to do today? And He said, go to Canada. Okay? No, that's not God. I tell you, that's not. But that's how I started everything. When I ask Him, He will tell you. He will tell you. Let's pray. Father God, I want to say thank you. You have called me. I am grateful that you have purpose in my life. And I know you have purpose for each and one of us here. Because you have called them out, singled them out when they were in mother's womb. You have created and formed them and say, I know who you are. I have plans for you. That plans and purpose is good and prosper. It's not to give disaster. Father God, as a body of Christ and as church, as a community, we want to know your plan and purpose of our lives. Speak to us and lead us, guide us, so we may continue to walk on the path that you have, not our own path, but your path. In Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, God bless you guys. I love you, and have a great rest of the week.